The latest poll on the Republican side of the race shows most Republicans haven't decided who to support in the New Hampshire primary. But the numbers do show the field is tightening. The UNH Survey Center poll done for CNN and WMUR shows Mitt Romney and Rudy Giuliani tied for the lead in New Hampshire. It also finds John McCain has bounced back among the leaders. Outlook's Richard Ager recently sat down with the Arizona senator and has more on his campaign.
So we are squeezed on time for me reading the schedule, so we're going to have to get in and get out.
That is right.
If there is one thing that differentiates John McCain's campaign, it is the legacy of his run in 2000, when he held over 100 town meetings around the state.
Back in 2000, you may remember, 115,000 people in New Hampshire voted for you.
I remember it as if it were yesterday.
When you left, I was one of the 115,000. When you left, I thought you were going to be president, and I wanted you to be president. And had you been president, I think this country and this world would be a lot different than it is right now.
McCain ran as a maverick, candidate who criticized his own party and rode the Straight Talk Express. But his campaign would later falter.
Sam, I think you and I have learned in life that the most important thing you can do is move on. And so I dedicated myself to the proposition that I would work with President Bush on the areas that I could work with him, disagree in the areas that we disagreed, and there were both, and move forward with my life.
McCain made clear he would try again.
The election is over. The debate on Iraq policy has been resolved.
He was the first candidate in the state, visiting just 2 weeks after the 2004 election. And he tried to appeal to the more conservative elements in his party. He visited Liberty University, founded by Jerry Falwell. In 2000, McCain had called Falwell an agent of intolerance.
Thank you, Liberty University class of 2006.
McCain also worked hard to get President Bush reelected. Those efforts made some former supporters wonder,
which is the John McCain that exists now? The one, the reformer, that appealed to all the moderates,
I know of no one who supports me who believes that there's... I know of no one who supports me that believes there's any change in me whatsoever. I know of no one who supports me who believes that I have changed in any way.
So your support for tax cuts that you couldn't support before?
My voting record is exactly the same as it was before. I have never voted for a tax increase.
This summer, the campaign revealed it was nearly broke, with many staff leaving. But McCain said he wasn't worried.
And we're doing fine. I'm happy with where we are, and I believe that in September, when people start focusing on the race and we're here doing the retail politics that I've done all my political life, that we'll have every success.
So you don't feel like you're starting over in a sense?
No.
Despite those words, the campaign did refocus, not on issues, but on the candidate and his life story.
Our target was the power generating plant in the city of Hanoi. Released my bombs, and as I pulled back on the stick, I was hit by a surface-to-air missile.
The film Courageous Service reminds viewers that military service is a McCain family tradition, while subtly questioning the qualifications of candidates who didn't serve.
Our sons are serving and will serve, and I just think we need a commander-in-chief that understands that. And I just couldn't really see my sons serving under someone else that didn't get it.
Getting it, for McCain, has meant resolute support of the military, but not always its leaders.
We are the victims of a failed policy for 3.5 to 4 years of Secretary Rumsfeld and General Casey and others. That was a flawed and failed policy which I railed against for years and tried to get changed. Now we have the right strategy.
What I've indicated is very consistent with what the President is speaking about and what we're hearing from Iraq right now, and that is that the surge is apparently working.
Governor, the surge is working. The surge is working, sir.
That's just what
it is working. No, not apparently. It's working.
That moment during this debate gave a boost to the McCain campaign, which replaced the Straight Talk Express with a No Surrender tour, featuring McCain's own band of brothers, fellow prisoners during the Vietnam War.
He's got courage, which I personally admire, and I would think most Americans admire courage because the whole history is built around the people that led our country to be what it is, and this man has got it in spades.
How would you describe our standing in the world now, particularly with some of our traditional allies, and how would you move to change that?
If I were President of the United States, I would close Guantanamo Bay and move those prisoners to Fort Leavenworth. I would declare we will never torture another person, human being, under our custody. I would commit myself to addressing with all vigor the issue of climate change and work towards an international agreement that includes India and China. And finally, I think I'd try to imitate Ronald Reagan and be more humble.
Then
just be more humble.
That's likely how McCain felt after he supported a temporary worker program during this year's debate over illegal immigration.
They are illegal, they are not undocumented, they are illegal, and yet, you know, you're talking about winning a war in Iraq and you can't win one in California.
Well, I'm certainly sorry I called on you. May I say, first of all, and I thank you. You very well and in most articulate fashion express the frustration of a majority of Americans. And I've gotten your message. I've gotten your message. And that message is that you want the border secured first and foremost before we do anything else.
Could you make a comment on your feelings of the way the healthcare system in this country works today?
We need to give tax dividends to low-income people so that they can afford their health insurance. We need to put all of these medical records online, which is a mammoth proposal. We need to encourage health savings accounts. We need to allow small business people to pool their assets together so that they can negotiate with healthcare providers in order to get better premiums. We need to encourage and do whatever we can to have so that insurance companies reward wellness and fitness with lower premiums and other benefits.
On the abortion issue, McCain supports overturning Roe v. Wade and letting the individual states decide.
Wouldn't that, though, return us to the days when choice meant you either lived in a state where abortion was legal or you would be wealthy enough to travel to a state where it was?
Well, I think you could make that argument, but I think also two things. One is, being a Federalist, I think in the Constitution our founding fathers said these decisions should be made by the states. It still applies. Second, I think the Supreme Court had no business getting into that issue, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so opposed to it.
Some things seem almost unchanged from the 2000 campaign, including easy access for reporters.
Okay, all right, okay, jerks.
What do you expect of the president tonight?
What is likely the biggest change is that while McCain may still be a maverick, his positions aren't as popular as they were. His campaign's hope is that voters will look past that to the man himself.
And I hope that from time to time when we disagree, you will understand at least my views are honestly held.
For New Hampshire Outlook, I'm Richard Ager.
Senator, I agree with you, but don't surrender on the amnesty issue.
Yes, sir.
I don't want amnesty.
I got you. I promise. Secure the borders. Secure the borders. Secure the borders. Thank you. Thank you.
New Hampshire Outlook will profile other primary candidates, both Republican and Democrat, in the weeks to come.